Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine, and today I'm going to talk about the Waldorf Curriculum by Live Education. There are 7 books in the curriculum for kindergarten, and what you're looking at right now are all the wonderful supplies that are going to enhance our kindergarten experience, which lasts for 2 years. It's for 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds. Now for this first part of the video, I'm going to talk about 3 of the 7 books that come in the curriculum, and you can click on the screen at any time to see the other 4 books that come in the curriculum. Today I want to share with you some of the things that are in a Waldorf kindergarten curriculum. We are using the Live Education curriculum, and if you notice behind me, we have just gotten all of our supplies in for kindergarten, and the majority of them were all purchased from achildsdream.com, and I'll leave all of that information in the description box below so that you can check them out. They have some of the most wonderful, magical things for all ages, really. So this is going to be a fun year for me as well as the kids. So let's start off by looking through the Waldorf curriculum. So when you get it, you get 7 of these books. And I went ahead and added a label to the front cover. I also colored the label so that when the curriculum is in my bookshelf, then it's really easy to identify the books that I need or the grade level. I also added the grade level on the front because I didn't notice that it was written on the front, and it can get really confusing after a while if you're trying to find a particular book for a particular grade if you're not sure which grade that belonged in. Okay, so the first book I want to show you is the Folk and Fairy Tales for Kindergarten. And what I like about this is that these are fairy tales that are specifically selected for a kindergartner, because if you've ever read any of the fairy tales from, like, say, the Grimm's fairy tales, some of them can be a little bit horrific and maybe not suitable for a kindergartner. So I like that these ones are appropriate for, 5, 6, and 7-year-olds. The next book I want to show you, actually, I probably should have showed you this one first. This one's called The First 7 Years. And what I like about this book is that if you've never been exposed to Waldorf education ever before, this is so packed with information. It's going to give you a lot of information about the philosophy, the reason why certain things are taught, the reason why certain things are not taught, the environment that you're trying to create for your child, and the developmental stages that your child is going through, and how to be responsive to those changes and prepared for them. So this is really, really valuable. So I do highly recommend you reading this before you embark on your kindergarten journey. But really, even if you don't get to it right at the start, the information is valuable for you for the entire year and for the several years that you're going to be doing kindergarten with your child before he or she moves into grade 1. So with the Waldorf curriculum, typically kindergarten is 2 years, so it's for 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds, and then at 7 you start grade 1. And so at 7 also, that's kind of where you have that first developmental shift from, the land of fantasy to kind of the land of reality. And so that whole time period before, the Waldorf curriculum really has a specific way of dealing with children. And this will help kind of explain a lot of that. All right, the next book you get is the introduction to the whole curriculum. I know I went through these like out of order. I apologize. And what's great about this one is that I'm going to show you the table of contents here, and there's just a lot of information in this particular book. And if you go to the website Live Education, they have a couple of sample pages that you can look through and kind of get an idea of what you'll get in each book. But for this book in particular is really important and great for the whole kindergarten year, because it goes through how to use the curriculum, versus the other book here. This is more about like development and the child and what to expect with your child. This is more like what to expect with the curriculum and how to use it and implement it. Okay. So what the book is going to go through is how to use the curriculum, and some of the things that it's going to talk about, like the home life and working with siblings and mixed groups. All of this is going to have a lot of information that's going to help you if you are working with multiple groups or multiple age levels in your homeschool, and also how to translate a curriculum that was implemented for a school, how you can implement that at home. And there's a lot about the rhythms of the day, the rhythms of the year, the different seasons. It's very much about honoring those changes in the year and having something that's both repetitive but also changes with the season. So you might have something that you're doing, you know, this kind of the same for that whole season, and then the season changes and you're doing something that's different, but it's the same for that whole season. So you're getting both that expectation of something that's going to come next, and also that familiarity of doing something that's kind of, you know, doing it over and over again. But it's not that you're always doing things daily. This particular curriculum and the Waldorf philosophy advocate doing things like something special on Monday. There's a special color or a grain, or you're doing your baking, or, you know, you're washing on Tuesday, or whatever it is. There's something that the child can expect that has to do with daily life, the things that you would be doing normally in a home. You've got your baking, you've got your making soup, you've got your sewing, all these things. It sounds like a little bit like Little House on the Prairie, and it kind of is, but at the same time, I think there's a lot that children really love about those things that are simplistic and wholesome, and they really gravitate towards it in a way that you might think, that you might be surprised about, I should say, with what we have today, with so many things that are bright lights and, you know, flashy sounds, and that's really exciting. There's something that kids are really drawn to when it comes to something really simple and really wholesome, like making bread. And that's something that we do in our home a lot, and I know that kids love it, and it's simple and it's delicious. All right, so the book also goes into other topics, like, say, the importance of imaginative play. So even though this is in the introduction for the whole curriculum, this illuminates certain aspects of the Waldorf philosophy. Let's see if there's any other thing that I want to bring out. Okay, so this is something that I really love about the Waldorf curriculum. Here's a little something about making your bed, or transitioning from one task to another, using like a song or a poem or a verse really kind of helps that transition. And I know that I can often be guilty of like, okay, let's go do this next, or, you know, we have 5 minutes, or let's hurry up and go do something else. And this curriculum reminds us that we can find a more soothing way to have those transitions. So a song is really great, or even a verse, or just, these are really wonderful ways to start an activity, close an activity, and move on to another activity. And then when it comes to breakfast, it says, when meals look beautiful and aesthetically pleasing, one is naturally drawn to it. I love that, because I love food, and I love when food is beautiful. I love when we take time with our food. I love making meals just kind of something that's celebrated. And so I like that this is, I think of all the different philosophies I know of, I think Waldorf and Charlotte Mason are the only two that have an opinion about food, which I love. And ironically, they're completely opposite. Waldorf is about variety and flavor and experience, and the Charlotte Mason philosophy is more like kids will bring the flavor with their appetite. They'll be hungry. Make it simple. Don't make it extravagant. So I find that kind of interesting between the two. So this one again goes in through the rhythms of the day, the week, the seasons, and the year. And then the other things are the festivals and the celebrations. Those are all really important in the Waldorf philosophy. And if you're unfamiliar, well, let's say that when I went through this, and I'm going to show you the other books now in a minute about the different seasons, and since celebrations is something, or festivals is something in the curriculum, when I actually went through all the books and I was looking at all the festivals and the celebrations, I admit I didn't know half of them. So if you are either unfamiliar with them or choose not to celebrate them, then there are other things in your life that you could celebrate, maybe family traditions, or, you know, Sunday dinners, or something that the child can celebrate and look forward to and have like almost as a festival. So even if you're not familiar, or you choose not to do some of the ones in the book, then you can do your own. All right, so there are the the festivals, the celebrations. This goes into some of the other handiwork that you'll do, or some of the other artistic expressions that you'll do. There's the watercolors and the beeswax molding. And so this gives you a really great overview of how to do those things, especially if you're unfamiliar with the philosophy. And to be honest, even if you get out all of your watercolors, which I have them right here, and in the very first watercolor lesson that a child does, he or she just uses one color, generally yellow. So even if you get out like all the colors and your kid is mixing all of them together, like don't worry because you didn't do that very first lesson with just the yellow. This is gives you what the philosophy is all about. But you as a parent obviously can stretch it and change it however you see suitable for yourself and your children. But it's nice to know what they recommend and also why. And so when you start with just yellow and you can just see it spread on a piece of watercolor paper that already has water on it, and then you put the watercolor, and by the way, those ones right there are all the concentrated watercolors, so you do dilute them. But when you see it spread on the page, there's something really fascinating and magical about that, which is really great for the children to experience. And then you add a little blue to it, and boy, that's like wonderful. If the child has never seen that yellow and blue make green, that's a wonderful experience for them. And I'll tell you, even though we did this often in our homeschool, it seemed to completely pass my children by until one day when they really recognized it for the first time, and they were pretty blown away. It was pretty exciting. All right, so yes, so this will go over a lot of the different things that you could do, the artsy crafty things that you could do in a Waldorf curriculum. And of course it also has a whole section on storytelling, which I do really love, and I'll have a lot of different resources available if you check the description box below for books that I've used on storytelling and some of the other videos that I already have that are tutorials on some of the things that you can do for your kindergartner. I have a lot of finger puppet tutorials, and my kids absolutely love playing with those. They have for years, and it's not just isolated to the kindergarten years. My kids have been playing with them. I mean, my 9-year-old, who's almost 10, still plays with them. So those are really great toys. All right, thanks for watching.